Before this video starts, I want to give a massive thank you to the people that are watching this. My I'm 37 video hit like 750 views, which is insane. It was my first video to break 100 views, and then it just kept growing from there. And welcome to all the new subscribers. I've doubled my subscriber count in 7 days, so that's pretty cool. And I broke 1,000 views as well, which is again pretty cool. So I want to thank you all so much for the support. I truly appreciate it. And let's just hop right into the video. Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Michael Jordan, or the Copy Dog, back with another Overwatch League video. And today I'm going to be talking about the Florida Mayhem again, because I feel like this needs to be talked about. And I'm going to give my reason why as to why the Florida Mayhem should have gone full Western instead of full Korean. Now, in case you guys didn't know, initially they were going to go full Western. They were going to kick their players that didn't speak English or good English, and then they were going to replace it with a full roster. That's why the McGravy and Apply and the Tvik announcement of them being released or inactive on the inactive bench was super late, because initially they were going to be picking up a Western roster. Kind of like why people suspected that Fisher from Team Envy left the roster to be able to join Florida Mayhem. So today I'm going to be giving a couple reasons why as to why Florida should have gone full Western. And I'm going to give some recommendations of a roster I would build if I was the coach and was building this team to be a full Western. So let's just hop right into it. The first and main reason why Florida should have gone full Western is because of their PR. Now, right now, their PR is absolutely horrible. Now, when you think about the players that are the most popular on this team, it goes in no specific order. It's Tvik, Saya Player, and McGravy, because everyone loved when McGravy joined this roster. So kicking two of the more favored players on this roster is going to make you like this last roster a lot less. And I didn't like the Korean part of this roster beginning. I just wasn't big fans of any of them. So when you get rid of your more popular players, then it's like, oh shoot, now like everyone hates us. The second reason is because I thought that the Western players in this roster and a core were stronger than the Koreans. Now, like, not to be mean, but McGravy is probably the better flex. Apply is probably a better Brigida and flex than Saya Player was and has been. And Tvik was a good bench, but he was a good, like, you know, morale booster for the team. So I think that the PR of this team is gone to shit, basically, because they kicked their more popular players. And plus the GM doing stupid stuff, but we are not talking about that in this video. And then just the roster, even keeping the Korean parts, I think those were the parts that needed to be cut. So I personally, and there's a really good way to build PR with Western players, because there's a lot of loved Western contenders players, which we will talk about more, which could have helped this team. And if your main objective as a Overwatch League team is to make money by selling jerseys and merchandise, having non-popular players is not the way to go. So that's kind of why a team like Toronto Defiant is like, everyone knows that the players on that team is good. And until they picked up I'm 37, it was probably one of the lower liked teams, simply because there isn't a player on that roster that like stood out as like a social person, or, you know, like like LA Valiant have Custa, LA Gladiators have like Surefour, and, you know, so on and so forth. Like Guangzhou Charge have Kib. Everyone just loves like the New York and London Spitfire players. Seoul Dynasty have Rio Jaehong, which is one of the like players that are liked the most. Gushui on Hangzhou Spark. Gaguri on Shanghai Dragons, along with Gamsu now that he joined. Fusions on the Boston Uprising. I can go on, but before M37, teams like Toronto Defiant and Florida Mayhem didn't have that player that everyone just loved. So I'm going to give a few suggestions as to how you can make this team better than if they kept their Korean core to begin with, and how to make them a more popular team with the players they pick up. So I'm just going to hop right into what my roster suggestions are. The first thing you have to do is you have to get rid of your Koreans. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can kick all of the Koreans and just pick up a bunch of contenders players, or you can trade, right? Like, I could see Washington wanting to go full Korean. So you give BQB and Saya Player for Corey and Stratus. I could see that happening if this team were to be going to a full Western approach. but they're not. So I'm going to just say, what's for BQB and Saya player, let's just get rid of him. Also to Vic, I know that he is a liked player on this team, but if you do want to win as well, and I don't think Tavik is good enough right now, you could keep him on the bench if you have room, but I'm going to be recommending players that would be replacing him in essence. So you can keep him still, but personally for me, I'd get rid of him even for PR or making him a coach or a streamer for the team. Then for the tanks, for Swan, just get rid of him. For Zephyr, actually the first trade I'm going to be doing is Zephyr for Phozix. Now, Washington Justice, I feel like they would like this trade. They need a better off tank. I think it'd help them a lot. And then for a player like Phozix, he's really smart at the game, and he's like not a bad Lucio. Like for being on the worst team, he has one of the fewest deaths as Lucio, which is pretty impressive. So I would say Zephyr for Phozix is a good trade, both parts, because they're not really using Phozix, and I feel like Phozix will want to start. So I could see this trade happening. And then for healers, Hogopin and Chris, just get rid of them. I don't think that they're good enough, and that if they are, they'll just get picked up by another team. Just don't try to trade them. Just get rid of them. This is what I would do, of course. And then let's talk about pickups. Let's talk about DPS first. The first DPS I would pick up is Fisher, who left Team Envy. Now, McGravy, prior to becoming a Florida Mayhem player, he was on Team Envy. So you will notice a little pattern of me picking up Team Envy players simply because they already have that chemistry and they are really good friends and they will work well together. So the first player we're going to pick up is Fisher. I don't really know personally much about him, but Team Envy was a good team with him. So I'd just say pick him up, you know. If I was a coach, obviously I'd be looking more into the players. But Fisher is not meant to be a starter, if that makes sense. And then the second one I'd pick up is Mangachu. Now, this is more for the PR reason. Mangachu is a super loved player. And like the Canadian, you know, he is good enough for Overwatch League. And I think that he'd be a good addition to this team. And then the final player is a player that I'm, again, still surprised is not in the league, is Davin. He looked insanely good for Team Finland this year. He looked insanely good for Team Finland last year. He's like one of the only main Finnish players that isn't in the Overwatch League, so hopefully he gets in soon. And if I were to be remaking the Florida Mayhem, I'd give him a shot. For tanks, and then we'd have Apply and Tavik, so we'd have 5 DPS. Obviously, for tanks, we already have McGravy, and there's 2 approaches you can do this. The first one I'm going to say was his partner, Trill. Trill is really good in the Australian World Cup, and he's been playing pretty good for Team Envy. So there's 2 ways I'm going to approach this. The first one is, it's going to be Trill. And then I'd pick up another tank like iRemix or another prospect tank out there that's looking good. But for this, I'm going to say iRemix. If I did pick up Trill, he is still like an unknown, but iRemix did look pretty good. He didn't look good in the first stage, but when they played against the London Spitfire, he looked pretty good, and he's been looking pretty good in contenders. So I'd pick up Trill and iRemix as the first option. The second option is, since Fact Fiction and Manitin are already on my contenders team for Florida Mayhem, just bring him up. It costs less money because that means you don't have to buy him from another team. And they're both really good players. I think McGravy would be starting over Manitin. And then Fact Fiction, he looked good. I was surprised when he didn't get picked up for the league. I thought he was a good main tank, so we'll give him another chance. And then finally, for healers, the first one I'd be picking up is Crimzo, again from Team Envy. I like this guy. He looked phenomenal at the World Cup. I was again surprised that he's didn't get in the league. And then the final one, you can go a lot of routes with this. You know, you can bring up Paintbrush. I don't know if he's of age yet, but he's the Mayhem Academy main support. Or what I would recommend is bringing up Ludi. This guy looked pretty good for Team Sweden, and he's looked good for Angry Titans, and he's in Gladiators Legion right now, and Gladiators Legion is doing pretty good. So that's what I would do. Again, if I was a coach, you know, I'd be looking more into this, but the main point is that this team should have gone Western. I feel like their results would be better as a team, and you wouldn't be as hated as much. And you would sell a good amount of jerseys with players like Mangachu and Crimzo, and a lot of people like Ludi because he's Menakusai's brother. So, and even if you picked up Trill, all the Australians would buy him his jersey because the only Australian in the league right now is Costa. So, anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. If you do enjoy Overwatch League content, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.